Mi nombre es Rosa María Correa de Vargas y el de mi esposo se llama Luis Alberto Vargas Saucedo.
Her name is Rosa Maria, and her husband is Luis Alberto Vargas, and they're both pastors at the church, the creation of your hands. That's the church name. ¿Cuánto tiempo llevan?
Como unos 20 años. En otras partes aquí tenemos 15 años.
Okay, they have been serving for 20 years, and in this church they've been serving for 15 years now.
Porque ellos estaban en necesidad. Como ven ustedes este pedazo aquí de casa, este pedazo era la casa de ella. Ella aquí vivía con sus niños, pero tuvo gran necesidad de salirse porque había muchas garrapatas y la casa se le llovía y ellos todos se mojaban. Entonces ellos, como ella asiste a la iglesia, ella nos pidió ayuda para su casa, para su familia, por sus hijos. Y por ese motivo es que nosotros le hablamos de Casa por Cristo y tenemos la idea de Casa por Cristo.
So they decided to build this house because they were in great need. Their home was in very poor condition, so they had to move out to a different location, and they saw that the family needed, so they do attend to the church, and they started talking to them about Casas por Cristo, and that's how they decided to build the house for them.
Yo creo que es una grande bendición porque hemos recibido, ¿verdad?, que las personas que les han hecho sus casitas, pues a veces unas se han salido y otras todavía viven en sus casitas. Entonces, yo me siento contenta y mi esposo también al poder saber que podemos darle por medio de ustedes, primeramente por la voluntad de Dios, después por ustedes y después por nosotros, para que ya tengan esta casita que va a ser un refugio para sus hijos y sobre todo por ese bebé que viene.
So she's very happy to be able to help them with this house, and she knows people that have received a house from Casas por Cristo and they're still living there. So she feels very happy that they're going to be able to provide for the family, first because of God, and then through Casas por Cristo, a great blessing for the family.
Esta es parte de mi familia, me falta todavía mi esposo y mi hijo Luis Alexis, y mi nombre es María Rafaela Cruz.
Her name is Maria Rafaela Cruz, and this is her family, and her husband is not here with them right now, he's at work, and one of her sons is not here yet either.
Pues para mis hijos, para tenerles una casa donde vivir, porque ahorita vivimos en casa cristal y hay mucha humedad.
She's in need of a home because she's currently living in a house that does not belong to her, and there's a lot of humidity inside of the house, and first of all, she wants the house for her kids.
Pues también por mi bebé, porque ya viene el frío, tener donde esté en otra mejor casa.
And she's also waiting for her baby to be born very soon, and she'll be very blessed by having a new home because of the cold weather that's coming very soon.
Pues significaría tener un bienestar para mis hijos y tenerles una casa digna donde estén mis hijos y vivir bien.
To have a new house will mean for her to have a good place, a good home for her kids, a place where they can live happy together.
En mi casa tenía muchas garrapatas y muchos hongos, y a eso mi hija tiene hongos en los ojos. Mis hijos los tres.
And it's going to be good for her because on their previous house it had a lot of fleas and a lot of different bacteria on the house, and it caused some disease on her kids, and it's going to be very meaningful to have a new house.
this is our family that we built the house for. By the time we built the house, she had had her little girl, and so they had 4 kids, and they were a joy. My thing with sharing about mission trips is, I believe we come and we hear about the trip, but we don't ever get any kind of spiritual chewing gum, is what I call it. So I'm going to give you some spiritual chewing gum for you to have and you to go with for the night. And then on the shirts that we sold to kind of raise some money to go on this trip, this is the verse that was on it. And it comes from Psalms 127:1. Unless the Lord builds a house, the work of the builders is wasted. Unless the Lord protects a city, guarding it with sentries will do no good. So we can go over here and we can go build as many houses as we want to build, but unless the Lord is in it, it's just a building.
Amen.
It's just like a church. It's just a building, unless God's in it. I don't know if any of you have ever done this book, Experiencing God. The youth is going through it right now. And this was this past week. It was talking about why people aren't attracted to the church. And this is what it says. Let the world see God at work, and that will attract people. And this is a paragraph that's in here. It says, Our world is not attracted to Christ we serve because they cannot see him at work. They see us doing good things for God and say, that's wonderful, but that's not my thing. The world is passing us by because they do not want to get involved in what they see. They are not having an opportunity to see God. Let the world see God at work, and he will attract people to himself. Let Christ be lifted up, not in words, but in life. Let them see the difference that a living Christ makes in a life, a family, or a church. That will make the difference in how they respond. When the world sees things happening through God's people that cannot be explained except that God himself has done them, then the world will be drawn to the God they see. See, that's where we are as a church worldwide, is they don't see God at work. They just see us doing these good things. We go to church on Sunday mornings, we go on Sunday night, we go on Wednesday night. It's a routine. They don't see God at work. But if we really look and we see what God wants to do through us, he wants to do God-sized things through his servants.
That's right.
And when people out there are going to be attracted to the church and be attracted to Christians, we have to let God do God-sized things through us. Because we can't do anything God-sized. So when we get to the point where we can say, all right, God, you do that, and then we'll draw people. So these are my questions I want to leave with you tonight. And what are you doing in your personal life that is totally dependent on God to be accomplished? It's a tough one. And if your answer is nothing, then you're never going to attract the world. And my next question I want to leave you with is, as a church, as Trinity Baptist Church, what are we doing that is totally dependent on God to be accomplished? And if we can't answer that question, we need to step back. We need to evaluate what we're doing. Because if we can't answer that question, we're just in a routine. We're just doing the good things that humans can do. It's just not relying on God. Here's one more paragraph, and we'll get on. The world comes to know God when they see God's nature expressed through his activity. When God starts to work, he accomplishes something only he can do. When God does that, both God's people and the world come to know him in ways that they have never known him before. That is why God gives God-sized assignments to his people. The reason much of the world is not being attracted to Christ and his church is that God's people lack the faith to attempt those things that only God can do. If you or your church is not responding to God and attempting things that only He can accomplish, then you are not exercising faith. Hebrews 11:6 says, without faith, it is impossible to please God. So I want to leave you with that. And I want you to kind of step back and walk in these guys' shoes of what you're about to see. And you will see very quickly that we have no reason not to be doing God-sized things. And we have no reason not to be practicing this faith and exercising this faith. Now on this trip to, I think you say Acuna is the proper pronunciation, but I say Acuna. And me and Miss Pam were talking about it because Acuna Matata from the Lions King, okay? You can correct me all day, but I'm not changing, okay? This trip was a little different compared to what you would normally go on. This was what they call a leader's build. So there's a company over there, and I can't call their name, but they make millions and millions. They are partners with Casas por Cristo. They're not a Christian organization. They just want to do good things. So they pay for a house to be built, and Casas por Cristo takes that opportunity to come out and find preachers and youth leaders, and they invite them for free. You just get there, and hoping that you get to see what they're doing, and you will bring a group back. So that's what this trip was about. So when we pull up, this is where we go to, and this is their warehouse. There's two big buildings right next to each other, and this is where we get Scott, who is our missionary or our lead missionary guy. He has a big trailer. Anytime you go on a mission trip, you want Scott. He has Cowart tools, okay? Besides the point, okay? All right, so this is a look inside of it, where they keep everything stored for the upcoming builds and whatnot. Each one of these stacks represents a house. So they have it down to a T. I mean, there is very little wasted. There's very little expense that goes over. Everything is used. So I thought that was a pretty neat. They got this down to a science. These two people are your favorite people of the whole trip. They cook for you, all right? So what happens is when you go on this trip, you can do a meal plan, and so which they really encourage because you're helping a family over there. $25 a day, you eat good all day, okay? 3 meals a day. So this is actually at the warehouse, and they cook, and they bring it to the church and everything. So that's where they're at. This is their store, which is also part of that same building. This was where we stayed. This is an old church that they do not use anymore. They brought in and they put bunk beds in. Those mattresses are really nice. It does have air conditioning. Doesn't work that great, but you know, it gets you through. This is their Walmart. It's really not a lot different. I mean, we're 3 miles across the border. So it's not that different. They actually, you don't even have to go change your money over there. They'll take American money. This was just a view from our church down toward the city. This is how their addresses work. This is how the guy that brings the concrete knows where to go. This is where they know to go check in on the house at a later date, see how the family's doing when they go back and if they need anything else. This is just some sights from their house, and this house that you can see right in the middle is very little. Is actually another Casas por Cristo house that they've done. So that was pretty neat. Don't quote me on this, but to my understanding, this is where they lived. It was told to me where our stuff is stored is where they used to live, and that's where our stuff was stored. If you heard in the video, their house was infested with fleas. They got sick and all this and that and the other. So what they did, one of them's mom lives right here, and then brother lives right there. So they ended up moving in with them. So they're all right there, and then we built the house right in the middle of it. And this is their barn. They had some horses out there. This is their house that they were currently living in. This is their bathroom out here to the right. Thankfully, nobody had to use it, but I don't know what it was like on the inside. So this is what you do when you first get there. We're getting the dirt leveled, we're building the frame to start pouring concrete and all that together. Now this guy in the green is one of my very best friends, so anything I say about him tonight, you can go and tell him because I probably already told him to his face. But I took every picture I could to find him doing nothing, okay? Y'all better go back and tell him this too, okay? This is all he did the whole time. He just sat there, he acted like the boss, right? You'll see some more like that, okay? All right. And see, I work, he takes pictures. That's how it works, right? So here we are, we're just getting it leveled. And it's ready to go, pretty well ready to go right there. See, told you, I'll work. All right, so we're getting this leveled out, and we are almost complete when a chicken decides to fly across and take a few steps. So, you know, it was fun. This is Scott. He's the missionary guy. He has the good equipment. You want Scott, okay? Otherwise, you do this job by hand. It takes you 3 or 4 hours. This is the end of day one. We have a floor. We have the foundation built. It's drying. The walls are ready to go up the next morning. Walls are built there. Got everything stacked up, and we head out for the evening. This is where you have lunch. We just set up a tent. We have sandwiches. You make them that morning. Peanut butter, jelly, ham and cheese, whatever you want. We just eat with everybody out there. As we were playing soccer, we had to take a soccer break because I always have to play a game with some kids if I have them around. This is the very start of day 2. We're putting the walls up. It moves quick. This is probably an hour and a half into day 2. Walls are up. Then comes the time where you have to do the roof. This guy doesn't do heights anymore, so I sent Ryan up. I stayed on the ground. Also, he's doing nothing. Also, doing nothing. Sitting there, sightseeing, nothing. That is him actually doing something there, so he did do a little bit. All right. So as the wall's being built, us that do not do heights are down here. We put in this black wall up and then chicken wire over the top, and it's getting ready for the next day. So that goes all the way around the house. This is a shot from the front door. So you walk in, you got a long building here. This is your living room, kitchen area, and you got 2 bedrooms off to the left there. And that back door is where they're going to put the bathroom. We don't do the bathroom. You can pay for it to have it done, which is recommended because a lot of people don't want to move into a house that doesn't have a bathroom. You know, let's just be real on that one. But they have a guy that comes back later. He puts it in and installs it and everything. This is a view from the back door. I didn't take that one. I promise you I wasn't ever off the ground. This is the end of day 2. Roof's complete. Walls are complete. Now I did take this one of Ryan. It is an awesome picture because he looks like a superhero walking on the roof like that. So I got to give him some credit there. That's the end of day 2. Walls are up, roofs are up, chicken wire's up, everything but the finishing touches are coming. There's just another area of the house. Once again, Ryan doing nothing. So these are what they do. This is the start of day 3. They're, what do they call it? Stucco. Putting stucco up on the outside. And while they're doing that on the outside, we've got a crew on the inside putting up walls and all that. There was only 9 of us leaders, so we did recruit. And the guys in the blue shirt here are from the company that built the house. So they would send us 2 or 3 volunteers and Gatorade every day, so we liked them. And then we also had some preachers who are involved with Casas por Cristo that would show up if they had nothing going on to help us out. This is the crew inside, we tore it up. And once they figured out that your phone took pictures, everything was photo. And they loved the drill, okay? And I did teach them the difference between a screw and a nail, and that's the only English words they knew. Maybe hammer too, but every time we turn around, it's photo. Until he figured out that he could play Monopoly on Ryan's phone. And he was no help after that. He was doing it, okay? He sat right there on the ladder the whole time. So they're running wire for electricity, they're getting it all hooked up. This is as high as I go, 2 steps. That's it. That's as high as I go. But that's a major accomplishment for me. And there's a house. 2.5 days, you have a house. All right. We did it a little quick. We cheated. We used power tools. There was less of us, so we got to cheat a little bit. But this is it. 2.5 days, your house is complete. After that half day, we do a presentation to the family. We dedicate the house to them. This is the preacher's wife. He could not be there. I believe he had another job on the preacher's room together. But I believe he was out working. And so she did the dedication for that day, which also everyone on the team had a different part of that presentation as well. There was pretty good turnout. A lot of preachers came out for it. So my job, I got to handle the keys to their house. And then this is pretty neat because on this plaque, it has their number of the house and it has Casa so that they can come back and check up on them. So what happens is one of our guys would put the first nail in, and then the husband of the house would put the second nail in to officially complete the house. It was a pretty neat time there. This is them going in their house for the very first time. And these are the kids, they're checking it out for the first time. And this was all of us here. All of the leaders that came. There's 2 of the pastors that helped us out. This guy right here in the middle here. Now, I told you this is a leader build. So every night for supper, we'd have the pastors come in and eat supper with us, and they would tell us about their church, or they would tell us about how Casas por Cristo has made such an impact on the people's lives in their church. And so the first night we were going around, and they said, "Would you please stand up, tell us your name, tell us how long you've been in ministry." So we're going around, these people are 17 years, 27 years. Too long, I can't remember. I've lost count. This guy stands up. He says, "My name is Christian. Been a pastor for 2 weeks." I said, "That's my man right there. We're going to get along great." Run. Okay, run. All right, don't do it. No. Christian's an awesome guy. He just got married. He actually went to school over here in St. Louis and is moving back over there to start his ministry. He just got married and started preaching all at the same time over there. This guy is actually the guy that got all the Bibles that the Wilsons sent. They sent me, like 500 little New Testament Bibles that were in Spanish. So we gave them to this guy to pass out at his church. He has a pretty young congregation there too, so pretty exciting. And yes, we did get locked out of our van. That was interesting. Supposedly it locks by itself. And then here's just some good pictures of the kids here. I've been to Brazil 3 years. This is my 4th mission trip. Everybody asks, what do you eat? Well, this is what we ate. And yes, we ate good. It's authentic Mexican food. So it was all pretty good. A lot of tamales. I don't know what this is. I wouldn't request it again, but it's edible. Okay? It's edible. Some enchiladas. Breakfast. Pretty normal what you have over here. And then a real Coke. Right? You can't go across the Mexican border without getting one. This is what a meal would look like at our place. This is the front of the church here. Sometimes we sit outside, sometimes we sit inside, but this is kind of what it would be. We had our pastors here. They were telling us about their churches, their community, and all that. This is actually the border right here. This is across this lake. Part of it's U.S., part of it's Mexico. That way is the U.S. Don't ask me how we got here. This is a place where we saw some kids out there that could come play. Don't ask me how we got to those places because I was done. All right. I was in the back. I was the youngest, best looking one there. So I took the back of the band. Also Ryan doing nothing. So they thought it would be cute to slam on the brakes and scream, right? Of course. I mean that's what every good youth pastor does to people. So they did. I didn't flinch. I had a death grip on the chair. I didn't tell them about that part, but I didn't scream, so I was pretty proud of that. But I was passed out, all right? And it was Casas por Cristo was the organization we went through. This was yes, sir. I haven't asked for questions. Put your hand down. Yes, sir. I'm accepting questions now. How big is the house? I can't tell you for sure, but I think it's a 20 by 30. It's just under the limit that you have to have a permit to be building. And everything is inspected, and we're just under that limit. Also, I'll teach you a little Spanish, okay? If you can spell socks, you can speak Spanish. S-O-C-K-S, right? It is what it is in Spanish. Socks. So, anytime you see some of our teenagers, please go up to them and tell them either socks or spell it out for them. All right? We'll be putting the tables together on that. They know it. They love it. That's kind of our thing. We say socks all the time. All right? But if you spell it out for them, it'd be pretty cool. All right? So you know some Spanish. That's all I know. That's all I learned. So sorry to disappoint. But any questions? Any questions? It does, but not freezing. Yes. Okay, so.
Repeat the question.
Oh, she asked how the families got selected to be part of this house, or to get the house. So they have an application that they fill out, and they turn into these pastors. So the lady that you saw at the beginning, her and her husband, that's their church. that it came from. So that's why they did the interview right there at the beginning. So what happens is they kind of just get a feel, and each pastor and each church kind of have their own way of doing it. There's not a right or a wrong way, but the organization asks them to do some people in your church, but some people in the community. They want that 50-50 ratio, because we're trying to reach people, right? And if we're just building for our church, then we're not expanding and reaching out. So that's part of it. It's really kind of hard to answer that, but that's kind of, a lot of them are kind of that 50-50. We'll do one in our church, we'll do one outside of our church, and they'll just kind of go from there. Yes, sir.
How many houses a year do they build?
They average about 64 houses a year. And so spring break is their busy time. I believe he said he has 19 houses being built during spring break week. So that's their big time. They're also in 3 other locations. There's another one in Mexico. They're in Guatemala, and I forget the other one. But they're hoping to be in 20 or 25 more locations in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's growing. No, 9 is not the typical size group. We were small. They want 15. 15 is a comfortable group. But they said 15 to 20. Once you're over 20, you got people standing around, you got people running over each other. So you just kind of get in the way after that. Yes, sir.
Do y'all completely paint the interior and do everything, or is it just put drywall up?
No, we just put the drywall up on the inside, and then the family is to do the paint. Now, there are other options you can do. You can say, I mean, this is pretty much customized to what you want to get out of this trip. And speaking with Scott, and that's why I tell you he has power tools, you can go on a trip with Scott and say you're bringing teenagers and you want to teach them how to work and you want to get, that you want them to be tired at the end of the day. He said, we won't touch power tool. We'll be out here longer. We'll be out here 3 or 4 days, but we won't touch them. We'll do what you're trying to achieve on this trip. But you can stay an extra day. And there was a guy who went with us. His name is Donnie. He's from Chicago. His group, they come in, they build the house in 2.5 days, and they stay later, and they say, we want to pimp your house. So they go to the Walmart, they buy paint, they buy curtains, they buy everything you can think of, they decorate the house for them. It's completely customizable. With our extra money that we had, because the t-shirts did so well, and thank you for that, and the ones that just donated, we bought the 2 boys a bunk bed. So you can do that. You can put an air conditioning in. There's countless things you can do. But a regular house is going to cost you $7,000. That's what we built. If you want to put a bathroom on it, it's another $1,500. So $9,000 you can build a house and a bathroom and leave money for them to have a bunk bed. That's probably what we will shoot for when we take our
I
trip.
think those in the plumbing through the concrete, so I assume when they do the bathroom, it's like an add-on to the house.
Yes, sir. It is an add-on to the house when they put the bathroom on. He was saying we didn't have plumbing running through. I'm not sure how they do that exactly, but I think they just run it to that one area and not through all the house. Yes, sir.
Where do they get their water from?
I'm sorry.
Where do they get their water from?
Where do they get their water from? They all have storage units on top of their house, but as far as where it comes from, I'm not sure. I know it's delivered and it's stored, but I don't know where it comes from. Yes, ma'am.
Did you have running water in the kitchen? Or not?
We did.
You did?
Yeah, at the church we had 3 bathrooms that were right there where we were eating. They were outside. They all had running bathrooms. There's actually a kitchen in the church that we stayed. If you want to do all your own cooking and everything, you can do that. There's running water there.
What about in the house?
In the house, yes, they have house.
No, the house that you built, does it
Yeah.
have running water?
Yes, it will, yes. But that's kind of the thing for the family, that they have to have it at their house, at their location where it's being built. From my understanding, it has to already be there that we can provide it.
they own the land, or did it belong to the church, or what?
It was their family land. Their brother-in-law, whatever he was, he lives there, and their mom lives there. So there's really 3 families that live right there in that little square. Yes, sir.
Do they own the land or just the house, or who owned the land where the house was built?
The family that we built for, they own the land there. When I go again, I'm ready right now. I'm ready right now. So I would have stayed another 2.5 days and built another one. It was fun. They're a good paying job over here, and why this is such a great organization is a good paying job, you get $200 a month. And then if you're gonna buy a house, you're paying 150 of that to your house. That's why people live together over there. That's why their houses are full. You can't live on $50 a month to feed your family, especially when you got 4 kids. So this is why this is such a good thing right here. Anybody else?
How did you find out about this organization, Corey?
Well, Ryan, the guy I went with, his old pastor that preached out at Oakland for a while is involved with it. He was trying to get Ryan to go. And Ryan said, yes, but I would like to go check it out before I carry a group. And so this group was going at a sooner date than his buddy was going. So 3 weeks before, he calls me up and says, hey, you want to go to Mexico in 3 weeks? I said, yeah, let's go, right? Take off work and we went. So that's kind of how we found out about it. It was kind of last minute, but it was neat. It was good. Sir?
You said poverty is so bad down there, do the prices at the Walmart reflect that also?
Do the prices at the Walmart reflect how the poverty level is over there? It's pretty normal. I didn't buy anything. I brought everything. I think Ryan went and got a pillow, and I think it was like $3. But it was a cheap old pillow. But so it seemed pretty fair. But I would say it's normal.
So you got scheduled yourself to go on?
Yes, ma'am. I've got a group from this church going, so I'm gonna be calling you up later and asking if you want to go. You have to see. Okay, let me share my vision. I was sharing this with Miss Bonnie the other day. You'll pay for it to go, right? So here's what I want to see happen is I told you me and Christian kind of hit it off, and he's a young guy and I'm a young guy, so I want to build this thing where we're together, and I go to his kids' weddings and all this and that and the other, okay? So what I want to see happen is I want to take a group down there to build a house. But I don't want to just build a house. I want to take a group that can do like a VBS type thing. So whether we have 2 groups, and maybe, huh? Yes, that's what I was telling. I was telling Miss Bonnie this the other day. So, we'll have a group that'll be building every day, and we'll have a group that'll do VBS stuff. And then maybe we get together at night. I would also like to see at the end of the week when we get through building a house is to throw a huge party at a park and invite every kid down there. We just play baseball, we play soccer and kickball, and we feed them hot dogs. All we're doing is we're opening the door for these pastors. That's all we do. I mean, we're Americans, they're going to come see us. We talk funny, we look funny, we have colorful eyes. They're going to come see us. The same in Brazil. I mean, we went door to door sharing the gospel, but they opened the door because we're American. And that's it. So we open the door, and then they follow up. They go back to those houses, and they visit, and they share, and they make sure, hey, is everything okay with your house? Do we need to come in and fix anything? Stuff like that. So we get them in the door, and then they take over. So, yes, I would love to see a huge group of 30 of us go and do a house in the VBS. So that's kind of in the works in the back of my head. No, we drove. It was an 8-hour drive. Oh yeah, no problems at all. It has a hometown or a small town feel to where we are in Nakuna. And like I said, we're 3 miles across to the church. So we're not very far at all. And a lot of that, there is a bad reputation in Mexico for the danger. And Scott set us down last night and he said, it's gone. It's not here anymore. Yes, there's danger everywhere you go. But the way we talk about it, it's nothing. It's nothing like that. So even in the bigger cities where they build, it's just not there. So, yeah, it's completely safe. Other than your normal risk. Yes, sir.
You need to learn Spanish.
Do I need to learn Spanish? I do. I sure do. Anybody else? Nope, that'll be easy. Alright, so let's finish it like this. I'm not going to ask you if you want to go on this trip, but I'm going to plant that seed, okay? And I want you to be thinking about it. I want you to be praying about it. I want you to be preparing for it. And I told you that the youth has been going through Experiencing God. And Experiencing God, they kind of have like seven overviews, okay? And number 5 is a crisis of belief, all right? A crisis of belief, okay? So at some point in your time, you're going to be faced with a time where you have a crisis of belief. And what that is you're going to have to make a decision on whether you do what Christ wants you to do or you do the safe thing, right? This crisis of belief. I actually had one today. We were just talking about that earlier, okay? This crisis of belief. Do you go to Mexico and build a house? Or do I stay here? Can I afford it? Can I get off work? Those are all crises of belief. Are you going to put your faith and trust in God and trust that He's going to take care of it? Or are you going to sit back? That's that crisis of belief. And if you say, yeah, I'm interested in going on this trip, or you're even just thinking about it, you're ready. Crisis of belief's coming, right? It's coming. You're going to have to face it. And the latter part of that is the crisis of belief. It requires faith and action. So that kind of finishes that statement out. So I want to plant that in your ears and your heads, and I want you to just think on it, okay? I don't know when we'll get our group together. As soon as I came back, Randy said he's ready to go. So he's getting his passport together, and so I imagine we'll have a group in the next 6 months ready to take off, okay? Yes, sir?
Will that young pastor that you're talking about, is he going to be helping you if you decide to go with your vision about the VBS thing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have all his contact information, and we would stay in touch with the Christian that pastor I was telling you about, and that's where I would go with first. And we can also use Scott, our missionary guy. He's very good and helpful with giving you the contacts and telling you the people, hey, this is going to be good for that one or what have you. But he does not oversee the VBS stuff. He just oversees the houses and stuff like that. So we would have to really get in contact and work on that. So, and that may be a 2 or 3 year plan. You know, maybe we do the thing at the park when we go, and then we figure out, hey, this is how we can do a VBS. This is where we can do it, and all that. So.
Were there a lot of children around?
Not where we were. We were in a pretty remote area. There was not a lot of children around. But where the soccer goal was, that place is, he was taking us around that day, showing us where all the different places you could stay. So the place that was right across the street from that soccer goal and stuff, there's kids crawling all over that place. There's like a YMCA type place right here, and then soccer goals. We probably saw 20 kids playing in the streets as we drove up. Like if we were to take the youth out there and we say, hey, get out and throw the football, they'll swarm. Right? They'll find you. Same in Brazil. You just get a soccer ball, you get a kite, there'll be 100 kids out there before you turn around. So it's a little different than it is here. So you don't have to call and invite, you just get out there. And they come. So. Anything else? I think Ryan is doing a bunch of nothing right now. No, he came back. He can't. I think he's actually preaching tonight, so hopefully he's doing something tonight.
Mr. Guerrero will have to ask my question. You ask me a question? Guerrero?
¿En español?
Yeah.
¿Cómo te ven en el viaje que te da?
Yes, I am the most awesome person in the room. Alright, so if you ever meet Ryan Levin, please give him a hard time. He will love it. And please tell him that you saw him. He is at Pollock Baptist, right down the road. We do a lot of things together as far as like D-Nows and stuff. We stay pretty close. It helps us out as leaders in preparing and all that, and financially. So we do a lot of things together with Pollock Baptist. Me and Ryan have grown up together. So it was pretty, he was actually my youth pastor for a little while. So that's what's wrong with him. That's what's wrong with me. So that's why I don't know nothing, right? But, so yeah, he's a great guy. That it? No more questions? Last chance. Not answering another one until we can come back. Alright. So you want to close it out? You got anything else? Alright, so time. Alright, let's pray and we'll be dismissed. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to share, and I thank you for the opportunity to go on this trip. And Lord, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to bless the trip that we take, and just give us the ideas and give us the people and give us the resources to make this happen. Lord, I ask that you are already at work in the lives of the people that you want to send to work over in Mexico. I just ask that when we come to that crisis of belief, that we have faith and action to back it up and just follow you and do whatever you ask us to do. Lord, I thank you for everything you do, and I ask that you be with the kids as they leave for camp this coming week, and go ahead and start working in the leaders that they're going to come in contact with, and preparing their hearts to share with our kids. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.